Hello, and welcome back to Dream Queen Perla here. Any questions as to what it is that I do, how do I do it, how do I get the songs, services that I provide, any information about donations, channels that I'm affiliated with, people that I work with, and channels that I recommend down below in the description. So, this is not a reading. Let's start off with that first. So this is in reference to the video that I had posted on January 8th. Where I had talked about like the sexual energies and energies a little bit. So I kind of wanted to break down I have the computer open because I have some really good notes from one of the subscribers, so I can kind of like break it down as much as I can, so that everybody can have the best, I guess, understanding of what it is that I'm trying to say. So I know people are wondering, like, what does my shirt says? It says Chaos Manager, but you can call me Mom. I'm a chaos manager, not just at home with the kids, but with people in general. Everybody seems to remember my number when they're in trouble. Anyways, so we're going to talk about like the divine energy, and we're going to try and break it down, and I'm going to try to use an analogy that people can kind of follow. So we're going to be talking about the masculine and the feminine energy. And the one thing is, yes, everybody carries both energies. Now, with that being said, if we look at it, so if we use the analogy of twins, there are fraternal twins and there are identical twins. We can use the fraternal twins as soulmates, and we can look at the twin flames as identical twins. Why? Well, when we look at identical twins, is usually one egg that ends up splitting into two. Now it can split at different stages, like different weeks. So we're not going to get into that because it's not a nursing a nursing lesson. Anyways, the whole fact is that it's just one egg that gets fertilized and ends up splitting. So if we look at the twin flame dynamic as a identical twin, meaning that the masculine energy that you have inside of you is the same energy that your masculine has, or that the man has, or your counterpartner has inside of them. And the same is for the feminine energy. So it is not two separate energies where your feminine energy is triggering their feminine energy or your masculine is triggering theirs. It is literally one energy that has been split into two separate bodies. So you each have half of the feminine and half of the female. That is why when we talk and we start to talk about that, when we, the feminine, the divine feminine, let's put it that way, not we as females, but the divine feminine, whoever's embodying that energy more at the time, who is usually who awakens first, whether they're a male or female. It is because they are more in tune, or they're living more out of their feminine energy versus their masculine energy. Now, when we talk about like, oh, if you got a line that allows your masculine to come forward, yes. But the only reason why that happens is because when we get a line, that means that we are balanced between our masculine and our feminine energy within ourselves. So in an essence, your person's soul senses what it is that you have done and senses how you feel. So when we get into these energies of like, you know, when people say like, oh, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that from, and I know it's not me, it's my person, of course, because you guys are sharing an energy. So when we say that your person moves forward towards you when you are ready, it is not ready just as a mental thing, like, oh, I'm ready, I'm releasing this, I'm releasing that, and I'm ready, and I've done this and I've done that. It's not so much about how much work you have actually done in the physical sense, or how much work you actually think you have done. It is more about the within, like this balance within yourself that allows your masculine to move forward, or your divine masculine to come towards you. Because I can give you many tools. I can do a lot of things. I can give you readings. I can tell you whatever it is. But until you yourself, within yourself, are not exactly aligned within those two energies, it doesn't really matter how many readings I give you. It really doesn't matter what I say. Because at the end of the day, within yourself, you're not ready. And if you are not ready, then your person doesn't move forward. Now, when we use these tools of, meditating and healing and this and that and affirmations and things like that, it is a way to help us get to that balance. Now, once we get to that balance, we have to stay in that balance. What tends to happen with a lot of the divine feminine, and take it however you want. Again, this is all from my perspective. This is what I've learned, and this is my opinion. We tend to get into these energies where when our masculine comes forward, we tend to leave everything else behind. We start to ignore other connections. We start to ignore other people. We start to ignore ourselves eventually. And that, in essence, when you stop taking care of connections with other people, when you stop taking care of yourself, that draws your masculine out, because then you are losing that balance within yourself, because now you have shifted your energy and you have shifted your focus back to your person, and that is not the goal. The goal here is to have two humans that are fully aligned and balanced within themselves, where one does not need the other to feel complete, so that when they do come together, they can create and birth something even more beautiful. When we still continue to focus on our person all the time, then even if our person does come forward, and even if our person reaches out, or whatever it is more in an essence to try and get you to get to that moment like, oh shoot, wait, I really have to stay balanced. Now, everybody has their opinion on how things work, and that's perfectly fine. I am all for unconditional love. Unconditional love does not mean that I'm going to be used, or I'm going to be a doorstep or a doormat for anybody. What it means is that I am, let me see, I just want to read through her notes real quick. Okay, because I like the way she worded it. So she put, this is the way she worded, unconditional love is not about giving and expecting something in return. We give freely of ourselves and follow our intuition. I guess these are my own words. Again, I don't know what I'd be saying when I'm making these videos. And we're able to know when to set boundaries. Now, when we talk about boundaries, a lot of people have issues with it, because it's like, well, you could set boundaries with other people, but not with yourself. No, you have to set boundaries with your person as well, because you yourself, once you learn yourself, once you learn to balance those energy within you, you know what your body can and cannot handle. You know when your body is asking you to do something, whether it's eat, sleep, dance, whatever it is, and you don't push your body to those limits, where it's going to be exhausted, or you're not going to be able to function correctly. So when I say we set boundaries, we're not setting boundaries to make them do what we want to do. We are setting certain boundaries to help keep ourselves balanced in the area, whatever it is that we're setting that boundary in. As people, how can I put it this way? Because we are who we are, and because we sense, and because we awaken first as divine feminine, we tend to feel the process of our masculine when they are awakening, and when they're going through all of this process, and when they're dealing with all of these things. So we have to get to that understanding that sometimes boundaries are set, not so much because, a lot of people set boundaries because they want to force somebody into doing something. And that is not the case. Boundaries are set because there are certain things that your soul just won't tolerate. And if you continue to tolerate it, you're going to keep on getting the same response. You're going to keep on getting the same outcome. So when our soul is guiding us to do certain things, you have to listen, because in an essence it is trying to like put an end to a certain cycle that needs to end. But because you love your person and you want your person badly, you choose not to. And then it's like, you know, a year later, 3 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, and you're still repeating the same cycles. And it's because when you were supposed to set those boundaries, you chose not to. With everything, when anything comes up, we have to always, regardless of anything. Now, going inward does not mean that there is necessarily something that needs to be healed. We go inward first to see where the emotions or thoughts or whatever it is that is coming up is coming from. And then we listen. We listen to ourselves. We listen to our mind. We listen to our higher self. We listen to our soul. We listen to God, source, divine, whatever name you choose to use. I always say that because it's like, you know, people have issues with different words. I like using God. That's me. That's how I relate. So when we quiet the mind, then we're able to listen. But we can't quiet the mind if we're not willing to go inward and see exactly what it is that is trying to show up. So that's, you know, with anything that happens or anything that comes up, you always have to go in and be like, okay, is this mine, first of all? Okay, why is it coming up? Is it something that I have to heal, or is it something that is being transferred or transmuted to me from my twin? And then these little steps will help you to be able to tap, I'm not saying the word tap, to connect or reunite with your intuition better. Because we keep on using the word tapping in, and it's like, I can tap into your energy because it's not mine. Tapping into my energy it's not really a thing for me because it's always there. It is reconnecting, making that reconnection with it so that it becomes something steady for you. I also wanted to, what else did I want to say in regards to that? Because the sexual energies, I'm going to make a separate video because I know that's going to get a little bit more intense because there's a lot of breakdown when it comes to that. So when we go inward, we're able to distinguish whether if we're mirroring each other. I mean, we're always mirroring each other. The only thing is that we're not always mirroring each other in the same aspect. You can be struggling, let's say, with self-esteem in regards to your physical image, where your person can be struggling with self-esteem in regards to like their psychological image. So, or whatever it is, but either way, we are always mirroring each other. There does get to a point where when the divine feminine has done the work and has had that balance, then her divine masculine, his soul is trying to push through. His soul is trying now to come out and live. So what starts to happen is we may feel that we are backing, we're taking a few steps back because we start to feel certain things and we start to feel certain angers and things that we have healed and this and this and that. And it's not so much that they are yours. There's so much more that your person is currently going through those things. So you have to be able to just be like, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. And acknowledge that the feelings are there and acknowledge that they are not yours, and then just release them with love and let it go. Because if you don't, and then you want to try and find something, the mind is something very powerful. If you allow it to, depending on who you are connecting and depending what your surroundings is like, the mind can start showing you things that are not real, or can drive you back into spaces that you no longer belong. And it is not so much because you haven't healed it or released it. It is so much because you went digging for something, because you just wanted to. Like, to be honest with you, because it's like, you know, I can choose to forgive somebody. I can choose to forgive myself. And it does take time for things to heal completely. But the more I go back and I go back and I go back, I'm never letting it heal. So like, let's say if you have a scab, right? You got a cut and you have a scab. If you take the scab off, what's going to happen in a few days? You're going to have another scab. And you go ahead and take that scab off, you're going to have another scab. And then eventually you have a scar, correct? Why? Because you didn't let it heal. If you get a cut and you have a scab on the cut, what you have to do is let it fall on its own. Why? Because when the skin underneath is healed completely, it sheds it off. Now, what is starting to happen is that people just want to keep on digging at the freaking scab. It's like, let the thing go. Let it freaking go. Let it be. It's doing its thing, even if at the moment you feel that it hasn't. When we speak about our words and we speak about like that our words have matters and our words turn into reality, they really do. So if you continue to tell yourself, oh, I have to heal something, I have to heal something, I have to heal something, your body, your mind is going to create something for you to heal, or it's going to take you back into something that you keep on taking the scab off. It's like, oh, you don't want to be done with it? Okay, let's open it up again. Because I was working on releasing that completely because, you know, our mind and our body and everything, you know, it's a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. But the more you do it, then the faster it starts to happen because your body, your mind, your soul, everything starts to reconnect and completely stay aligned. And if we're constantly picking at a freaking scab, it's just going to keep on happening. Go back to this place. That's what you want to be. You want to be stuck there? Go back. You want to be stuck there? Go back. You know, how do you know if you have healed something completely or if you have, to me, personally, I always say when you're able to go back to that place to speak about it from a space of helping and teaching other versus an emotional state where you're breaking down and you're crying and you're allowing all the emotions attached to it to come back up. I hope that makes sense. And it's the same thing when it comes to our person. So they're going to, you know, and that's the reason why I wanted to talk about like the energies, how we literally have, it's the same energy. There's not that he has his own masculine and feminine energy and you have yours. No, it's the same energy. I'm split into two separate bodies, and that's why the connection is so strong, and that is why we feel things as much as we do. And there's also another misconception where people believe that because masculines are not awakened or are waking up, that they don't feel it, but they do. Masculines feel everything when we were going through our awakening process at the time as divine feminine. The thing is that they don't verbalize it as much and are not as open because they still don't have the full understanding of it. Once they get the full understanding of it, it will be revealed to you directly to you by your masculine. You don't have to get a reading, you don't have to get this, you don't have to get that. It would literally come straight out of their mouth. So I think that's pretty much it for part one. I think I hit the keynotes. I wanted to talk about like the energies that we carry, how to set boundaries, unconditional love, and going inward and why we go inward, and about our words becoming reality. And I kept this surely close to like 20 minutes, which is awesome. I will be working on making a second video for the sexual energies and probably releasing it tomorrow. Do not get fixated on that time or date, because as we know, it's when I'm guided to do things that I will do them. As of for now, this is video number one. So always remember that it's the same energy. That is why we always say aligning and balancing. And alignment does include balancing that masculine and feminine energy within ourselves, which also includes balancing that light and dark, or that the soul and the ego, or the soul and the shadow side, or whatever you want to call it, which that's another video that we have to talk about. But you have to be balanced in all areas, so that when your masculine comes forward, we stop the cycles of continually with the back and forth, and staying firm and staying set in that reunion. And the only way that you can do that is by staying balanced in yourself. Meaning, when your person comes forward and your person is with you, you enjoy the time, you enjoy everything, but you do not shut off the world. You do not stop with mission or purpose, whatever you want to call it. And you don't cut people off just because your person is there. Because if the sole purpose of you wanting to work on yourself is for your person will feel that. And even if he does or she comes forward, it would only be temporarily, because we are at the point that you need to work on yourself, on your healing, on you living like from your soul, for you, not for anyone else. And I've been saying that for years. When I used to do Beachbody, and I used to talk to people, and people were always like, oh, I want to lose weight because I want to prove this person, that person. And I'm like, okay, I'm not the person to help you. Well, it's not the correct answer. As long as we're willing or wanting to do something to either have someone or prove something to someone, it will always be a temporary gain. It only becomes a permanent gain when you do something for you because you want to do it. I always say, like, the only competition that I have and I would ever have in my entire life is that person I see in the mirror. My reflection, myself. The only person that I ever want to beat, the only person that I want to ever improve or that I want to be better than is who I was yesterday, who I was 5 minutes ago, who I was a second ago. It is what it is. Because it's about staying aligned within me. And that does not mean that I am conceited or I'm living out of my ego or this and this and that. It's just nothing outside of me has the power over how I feel or over what I'm going to do or how I'm going to respond. Because I'm not reacting. Like, huh? Chaos. I'm here. Your chaos manager is here. But you know, that's kind of like how I feel. So take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, do you want this for you or for your person? Do you want to become the best version of you? Do you want to heal for you? Because if you're still focused on your person, then, I don't know, gotta reevaluate everything. And then see where it is that you have to reconnect with yourself. Well, guys, that is all that I have for you today. Well, for now anyways. I'll see you guys real soon, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.